Hi, my name's Martin, and today I'm going to be talking about the eastern gray squirrel. This specific squirrel species is a tree-dwelling rodent that is known to reside in habitats such as the woodland, suburban areas, and even urban areas. Most squirrels live in colonies or groups, but the eastern gray squirrel is actually a solitary animal. These animals primarily feed on tree bark, seeds, acorns, walnuts, and other kinds of nuts through foraging. Interestingly enough, these animals don't live very long in the wild, with the average lifespan being around 1 to 4 years. Shifting over to the behavioral and sensory systems of this animal, we can introduce the concept of the Umwelt. An animal's Umwelt is their unique perception of the sensory external environment. The Umwelt of the eastern gray squirrel is comprised of sensory systems such as vision, hearing, smell, and touch. The directional movement of an organism in response to a stimulus is called taxis. An example of taxis that is seen in eastern gray squirrels would be thigmotaxis. Thigmotaxis is an animal's response to contact or touch. For example, if a human were to get close to a wild eastern gray squirrel and touch it, the squirrel would go running away. More specifically, this would be a negative thigmotaxis. If the eastern gray squirrel were to be dropped from the Empire State Building, it would actually survive due to the fact that this small animal, one, doesn't weigh a lot, and two, wouldn't be able to reach a terminal velocity fast enough to kill it on impact. For the squirrel, it would be the same to fall from the top of a tree as from an airplane flying 30,000 feet in the air. In the event that the planet cools or warms by 5 degrees Celsius, the habitat distribution of the animal would be completely skewed. If it got colder, their banded distribution would move further south, and if it were to be hotter, it would be the opposite, with it moving north to mitigate these effects. An eastern gray squirrel exposed to chemicals like atrazine and cadmium can affect normal behaviors and lead to periods of immobility and seizure-like activity. Squirrels exposed to these chemicals also saw a critical level of renal metal loads, which is indicative of failing organ systems. A question I have regarding this animal would have to be regarding their status as tree dwellers. What is the evolutionary adaptive function of primarily residing up amongst the tree branches? I would hypothesize that their preference for being up in the trees is primarily for predator avoidance. This type of question relates to one of Tim Bergen's 4 questions, which is function/current utility. Transitioning to the ethogram, as we can see here on the slide, the main behaviors that I included were foraging/eating, alert, grooming, and locomotion/climbing. As the eastern gray squirrel is a solitary animal, it would make the most sense to conduct focal sampling. To ensure a high-quality data collection, I would conduct multiple observation periods in order to ensure that a type of behavior is not an anomaly. It's not a one-off, let's say. I hope you learned a little bit about the eastern gray squirrel, and I thank you all for watching.